Ladies and gentle gamers, welcome back to To Be Determined. Today we are on the Hypixel SkyBlock Alpha because dyes are getting a revamp. So we're going to cover everything in the brand new update. Again, this is on the alpha, so it's not on the main server yet, but we're going to prepare you guys for when it drops. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So as you can see on the Hypixel Alpha network, Artist's Abode is the update for today. Dyes. So let's jump in. We warp over to the hub. We can warp over to the brand new section, which is the Artist's Abode, this building right here next to the Coliseum. We go inside, we can discover the update. So Vincent is right here, and he has a bunch of dialogue about dyes. And as you can see, there are some new dyes with some new text messages for when they are dropped. He says as a painter, he prefers to use dyes as part of his work, and they drop from a variety of different parts of Skyblock and are really rare. So most artists just go with the flow and work with what they have, but he's feeling like he's different. Basically, he's going to choose 3 dyes every single Skyblock year, which as you can see this year is pearlescent dye, dung dye, and holly dye. And 2 of the 3 dyes will have their drop chance increased by 2x. For the sake of the alpha, it's a lot higher, but one of them will have a 3x chance. So you can see a lot of the rates by clicking on his dye compendium here. You can see all of the different dyes, what they're dropped from, their drop rates. And these aren't just the old dyes. There are 14 brand new dyes, but everything has gotten a complete revamp. As you can see, they now have skins, plus their drop rates are a lot higher. Let's take, for example, aquamarine. According to this, it is a 1 in 10 million drop chance from fishing anywhere. It used to be a 1 in 15 million drop chance. And also, apparently, it was bugged. If you had 100% sea creature chance, you did not have a chance to drop this dye at all. So thankfully now that is changed. But again, there are a bunch of brand new dyes, including the Archfiend dye, which is a 1 in 666 chance from high class dice, and 1 in 6.6 thousand from Archfiend dice. There's the Bingo dye, which is purchased from the Bingo shop. The Bone dye, which has a 1 in 3 million drop from killing any skeleton. This one was already in, as well as the Bingo dye. And this is one of the few dyes that has not been adjusted. It was already pretty common, so they decided to leave it the way it was. Brick Red dye is another new one that is dropped from killing different Tarantula Broodfathers. Depending on which one you go for, will be the chance that you have to drop it. Then there's the new Byzantium dye, which is dropped from Void Gloom Seraphs. Then there's the old Byzantium dye, which was a 1 in 20 mil drop rate from any Voidling. Now it is a drop rate from Void Gloom Seraphs, and depending on which tier you kill is the chance you have to drop it. There's also the Carmine dye, which is dropped from killing Lava Sea creatures. It used to only be dropped from killing Lava Sea creatures on the Crystal Hollows, but now it's from everywhere, and it's twice as common as it used to be. It was a 1 in 20 mil, and now it's a 1 in 10 mil. There's also the Celadon dye. This one used to be dropped in 1 in 20 mil from large sludges, or 1 in a billion from medium and small. Now it's a 1 in 100,000 drop from killing Bactae. But again, Vincent is going to choose 1 dye every year to have a 3x drop, and then he'll choose 2 other dyes to have a 2x drop. And the reason you would go for these dyes is not only because most dyes are generally pretty valuable, but also because you can trade them in for a bucket of dye. Depending on what color of dye you donate is the color the bucket of dye will be. Thankfully, I've saved up enough chocolate to get a chocolate dye, so we're going to trade this one in at him and see how that goes. We're going to donate the chocolate dye, and then we receive a brand new bucket of dye with the chocolate dye donated. It increases your chance of dropping every single dye by 1%, which is pretty nice, but it does take the dye that you donated to get the accessory. So we're going to lose the chocolate dye, but we gain the accessory. And since we use chocolate, you can see that it's pretty brown. If you use something like a Warden dye, it'll be a little bit prettier, but it's a new accessory. It's uncommon. You can, of course, recom it up to the rare version, which we'll go ahead and do for time's sake right now. Boom, blue bucket of dye, which is actually dyed chocolate. If you're wondering why this update was made, the admins kind of explain their thought process in the patch notes, which I'll link in the description. Basically, the way that dyes currently work in the game on the main server is that you kind of do a bunch of niche grinds, like grinding mushroom cows or something boring like that that doesn't really have anything to do with your progression, just to get a dye. So their goal with this was to kind of adjust those different drops and make them easier to get from a lot of different sources that are a little bit more progression based and not so niche. So that's why a lot of the new dyes come from Slayers, and a lot of the old dyes have a bunch of new ways to get them. They're still extremely rare, but they want them to be a little bit more common, or at least gotten from a more common area. However, they will be listening to feedback, so make sure to leave a comment on what you think about this video down in the description, because a lot of it is bound to be changed before it drops on the main server. But before you go, that is not everything in this update. I decided to save some of the best stuff for last. The first W change that they are planning on making is removing bomb defuse from the catacombs. If you guys have never done F7, you don't know the pain of bomb defuse. Basically, no one does it the legitimate way. It's kind of impossible. So everyone just kind of stonks through the wall or does some other trick to just glitch it out and get away with getting the secret. And it's kind of just been annoying since they added it. So thankfully, they're finally removing it, but it's been like 3 years. But hey, better late than never, I guess. They're also adding a third Peridot slot to pumpkin and melon dicers, so that's pretty nice. Basically, every single type of tool besides them had 3 slots, so now you can get a little bit extra fortune on those as well. They also changed the Dark Claymore's gemstone slot, so now you can put Onyx in there as well as Jasper and any other combat stone. Generally, Jasper will still be the play, I think, but if you're LCMing, I guess Onyx is a good option. Also, if you had Fred in your Abby phone, basically he just lets you contact the forage, and a lot of times his signal would be bad, so you'd have to call him multiple times before you could actually open your forage. But now, if you've done all of the Fairies Abby phone relays, he will no longer have bad signal, so that's kind of a nice little change. They also changed the Nucleus loot bundle message, which I don't know what it was like before, to be honest. I barely paid attention until it said drop alloy, but that's cool, I guess. They added a command /set max speed to change Rancher's boots speed instead of having to actually take them off and left click with them, which was annoying, so that's going to be kind of nice. They also added a claim all coins from sell orders option to Bazaar, which was definitely needed. Also, there was a bug where you could see who was winning the election vote on the hidden elections while you were in dungeons, so that's not going to be the case anymore. You can no longer sell dyes to NPC. They fixed an issue with Midnight Dye not dropping and an issue with players with 100% sea creature chance not rolling for dyes, so that's like that aquamarine dye change I was talking about earlier. They also changed how dyes are shown in the bestiary, which I'll show that real quick. If we look in bestiary, for example, on the spider's den, the gravel skeleton has the bone dye right here. If you go on the main server, it shows like a really weird symbol next to a 1%, which is basically 1 in 3 million. But now they have the actual exact odds shown right here, which is really nice. They also added the message in the chat for whenever someone drops a die, so also pretty cool. But that is everything with today's update, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Please make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already. I had to wait like an hour to get into the alpha server, so please subscribe. If I get red name, I don't have to wait in line, and I can get these videos out a lot faster for you guys. So thank you so much for watching to the end. I'll catch you in the next one. Have an amazing rest of your day, and God bless.